after that, we're going to move into a really powerful energy. This will be our full moon energy coming up towards the end of the 15th. The 1111 portal comes within this gate, and this is going to be the gate 43, the gate 43 insights. This is huge. This is going to be coming from the Ajna Center within the Human Design Chart. And as we look at this, this is going to now bring in that male serpent energy, but it's also going to be paired by a female serpent energy and a bear's energy. So how cool is this? So let's continue the story of what was going on during some of these battles. Well, the female serpents got really manipulated, so they began to misuse their energy. The male serpents were also being manipulated and actually started to go after things. Well, there was a whole battle when you look at it from the Stellar Nations perspective of really from the Stellar Nations perspective, it talks about the Melchizedek, so the patriarchal Melchizedek. So these would have been like um, the Templar Melchizedeks that started to get infiltrated into the patriarchal system. So we know there's a split up of the Melchizedek lineage lines that happened through the 12 tribes and after the Atlantean cataclysm times. I think that's what this story is really about. But also talks about Archangel Michael, or the Michael energy, having to come in as an intermediary or a force to come in to begin to shut down some of the battles and the destruction that was taking place at this particular time. Well, the male serpents in this, they're the North Claw of the Scorpio, of the Scorpion. So within this, there was tensions. It was about starting to recognize a lot of infiltrations at this time into the spiritual teachings. We had a lot of the Syrian and the Syrian Anunnakis coming in during the Atlantean times, infiltrating in to the sacred teachings and misusing the CDT plate wisdoms in order to begin to actually create control structures. This was one of the massive times on planet Earth when um, rulerships really started to create divisions of the people and what we might think of as countries on the planet. So we would sit and go like, isn't it interesting that there are countries, that we are divided by borders all over the place on this planet, and that we are kept segregated in order for us to um, have to be within these set parameters. Well, those parameters actually originated during these times because what happened is these Syrian Anunnakis, as they came in and started to breed, they started to give rulership and rights to their children. And so their children were like, well, I want something. I want to have a race line of people. I want my own country. I want to be the ruler of something. And so they would say, okay, well, you get this area. And everything in this particular area, this will be yours. And then, this continued on until the whole Earth planet started to get divided up. Why was it divided up? What are these borders for? They're not necessarily, even though this is aside from all the political stuff that is going on right now. The original inception of borders and what borders were created for was not to keep things out. It was actually to keep them in, because whatever was inside the borders, all of what was accrued within there, all the riches, the taxes, all of the people, all of the energy, all of the loosh, all of the wealth of what was in the borders, then belonged to whomever that leader or that ruler was. And that's really what has been going on. And we have been tossed around between all of this. And this really came heavily into place during these Atlantean times towards the later part in the cataclysmic times, because what was coming in at this time? Well, we had new incarnates coming in. So we're going to bring in the bears here. We had new incarnates coming in through the Christ lineage. So new messianic beings, if you will. So new teachers, new Christ consciousness teachers, new Christos mentioned teachers coming in and incarnating into the planet. Well, they were seen as a threat. So now you have these male serpent lineage lines that they're like, no, 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 no. We've controlled all the teachings and now we actually have power. So when you read about a lot of even the Elohim and the gods and the different um, rulers that were on the planet through different texts, the Nag Hammadi text, the biblical text, all of the different texts that are on the planet, the ancient Hebrew text, when you really decipher and read it, you start to actually get to see this dynamic of these ruling factions that started to really enjoy having power or being lords or gods over their people. And within this, as the Christ message would keep coming back into the planet, what was the true Christ message is God is within you, unity. All have the right, all are sovereign, all are free, all of us are the royal children of the divine. Well, this had multiple meanings that we were the royal children of the divine. We also have the true royal bloodline of the genetics to the cosmic divine mother. And so, knowing this was recognized, it meant that if that was recognized as a true law on the planet, none of their kingdoms were legal or could exist. And so they had to destroy all of the teachings of the true Christos teachings on the planet, because if they survived, all of their rulership would not be recognized by their serfs, their slaves, their people, those that were their subjects that they owned. And this is where we start to see it into current time, where we think of this as the bloodline families, the Illuminati families, the ruler families, the unseen, the 1%. Use whatever terms you want, but we're seeing this as a very ancient drama, family drama that has gone on here on this planet, and we're caught in the middle of it. It's not just some mystery that we're mythology or something. We're being asked to actually start to look at the records again and see what is going on the planet. Well, as we're getting to see this within here, we're getting to recognize that the male and female serpent lineage lines do come from a divine line. And it's about whatever genetics, whatever part of that is in our cosmic human form, whatever genetics we have of that, many of us are all like here to restore or bring harmony and balance to whatever the misuse of power has been. Misuse of sexual energy, misuse of knowledge for power, and every other variation that we can have. We want to start to recognize if we have any of that playing out in our life, where do we take responsibility for any ways it's played out in this 15-dimensional time matrix and start to bring balance to it. That even within the bearer's energy, we want to bring balance. Now, I want to read a little bit on the Unukali serpents alignment that is going to be happening here, because these are going to be happening. So we're going to have Unukali and then the Beta Centaurus connections a little bit closer to the full moon. So we're going to recognize we have a lot of this balance of right use of knowledge for the 1111 Stargate. Well, the 1111 Stargate, in another perspective or galactic perspective, is actually going to be the belt of Orion. And the 1111 in that gateway that moves us to, well, what is the belt of Orion and Mintaka? That is the metagalactic core. That is our higher heart within the 12 tree sphere of life. And when we look at the higher heart was actually one of the primary strands that was removed for the regressive or digressive races. So we're implementing the higher heart and our permission to move back through the metagalactic core to have all of the connections again, to actually merge our consciousness back into our Christ avatar God self, to have full levels and stations of identity within this 15-dimensional time matrix. This is massive for us. Well, this is also going to be happening so on the 15th, leading us into the full moon. And I do want to say the full moon is going to be leading us up in and in the window of what is referred to as this Leonid meteorite shower. The meteorite shower actually starts around the 3rd of November and goes towards a little bit towards the end of November. And the peak time of it, if you look it up, is going to be, and there's a great website like Earth Sky, I think has a really great write-up on it. But the peak day is going to be basically the 17th, the night of the 17th, so 17th and 18th within there. That's going to be right around the full moon, you guys. The full moon is actually going to be in the gate 23. Now, let's actually just tap into the gate 43 really quick. And I'm going to tell this through the story again of this connection to serpents, alpha serpents, and the Unu Kali race line here. So as we connect to this, I picked this nature picture in here because these beings are really, really special. If you have any kind of alignments to this within the gate 43 upon your chart, this, without a doubt, would be like a starseed mark on your chart that you are here to be a healer. You are here to heal. You are here to work with nature. You are here to work with the cosmic flows and energies. This energy is all about the plant kingdom, healer energy, working with pure heart healing energy, herbs, crystals, becoming connected to the divine cosmic flows again. And so if you were to look in the Stellar Nations work, this is the sacred divine feminine female serpent that is literally one in the flow with being that um, plant medicine, the plant shaman, if you will, working with the sacred elements of the earth and doing natural healing, herbal healing, crystal healing, nurturing healing in all of its different ways. It is again the energy of the insights. One of the coolest things about this energy is that it's really about this kind of like poof, this third eye awakening and just these downloads. There is a vibration to this of being able to block out the rest of the world. So there is a good side and a not good side to this. I will say I actually have the gate 43 and I have to be careful with it because I can get so in the zone doing something that I'll literally drown out the rest of the world. It'll be just kind of like I can focus on maybe working on this and it's like I don't hear anything. And that can create a sensation to others around that they are being ignored or that they are not being heard. So we want to recognize that it's great because it can help us block out the inconsequential things. It can help us put a block to things, but we also want to be very mindful within it that we are not utilizing deafness to block out things that we actually do maybe need to bring into our awareness and to pay attention to. So it is a great thing to many times collapse, dissolve, and delete that deafness part of the gate 43, collapse it to open up to actually just new perspective, new insight, because what is the energy of it is breakthroughs. How do we have breakthroughs if we only have our blinders on, right? So that is one vibration. Let me read this from this book again. So within here on, again, it is still on page 298 within the Star Walking book. And it says Ulukal Hai. It says in the constellation of serpents. So serpents, however, is the most commonly used. The star Unukal Hai provides a stimulus that helps perpetuate the life force within the plant kingdom. It enhances the medicinal and nutritional value of plants throughout the world. It is being utilized at this time by the regulators to benefit the forests of the world, particularly to help sustain the vitality of the rainforest and old growth forests before it's too late. The regulators in here, you could see this is just another kind of station. This could also, in some ways, you could see this as maybe different stations within the Elohim or different beings, but regulators being a term that gets used quite a bit as energy forces that balance. I found that very fascinating. The Stellar Nations, as well as this shamanistic book in here, both had similarities within how they perceive the nature of this star nation of the female serpents is really this healing nature coming back into that creation. Well, if we need to tap into nature in order to know the Divine Mother, what an amazing time this could be for us during this time. Again, the sun will be in the gate 43, while the new moon will be in the gate 23. So let's look at what this next full moon could bring for us with these breakthroughs. Now, the gate 23, interesting, the moon will be in oppositions. The moon actually during the full moon time that's going to happen on the 15th, it's going to push over Uranus and Algol. We've talked a lot about those two. That could be a really intense energy, honestly, because algal, again, that Medusa energy is really kind of, it can bring up that level of having been deceived, having had our head cut off for the self-serving purpose of someone else. As we get to look at this, we want to recognize Uranus and Algol's been creating a huge energy of really kind of moving things towards what is correct. Algol has a deep darkness to it if it is misused or the power of it is not used correctly. Well, I find that very interesting in the sense that when we look at the Divine Mother in her many forms, if you look at it through the different aspects of Kali or Tara, I utilize these two divine feminine representations a lot because they are not singular. Kali is not just Kali. Tara is not just Tara. There's multiple Taras, and each one has a different characteristic to them. There are multiple aspects of Kali because there's different natures to the Divine Mother. While the Algol, in a misused way, could be seen as the darkest of the representations of the Divine Mother. Whereas if you learn how to clear your womb chakra and your shadows within yourself, the Divine Mother loses that scariness within there. And what she does is she opens up the door to all of the cosmic wisdoms in nature. So this is very interesting. I know the story of Medusa is a lot different in that, but this is just a perspective for us to be able to take because when you actually look at Algol from different perspectives, you're going to see that each one holds a little bit of a different star story within there that we can tap into. And as we're clearing these energies, the gate 23 is about assimilation. Well, what are we assimilating? The very first sentence, the very first statement in here, splitting apart, assimilation. So that which has been split, really coming back together again. The awareness and understanding which leads to the acceptance of diversity. This is where inspiration and inner knowing are translated into language, and it opens up the possibility for new ways of thinking to be shared with others. These ideas can be radically different than what others are used to, so it's important to honor the right timing when speaking. This is important. We want to really realize that without a good sense of timing or listening from the heart, no idea will be a good idea. Because any idea that is shared from reactivity, hatred, anger, vindication, revenge, or some desire to like make things right that are I'm gonna say it this way. There's a comedian out there, and I absolutely adore him. Brad Williams, and he's a little person. I absolutely love him. He's very irreverent, very inappropriate in all the funniest ways. But he had such a great presentation at one point. He was talking about how that when people try to speak up or stand up for groups of others, that in truth, what they're doing is they're actually reiterating the belief system out into the collective that there's something wrong with them. So, as a group, that is a very specialized group that he was a part of, he was talking about how annoying it was for him for people that really wanted to speak up for the right way to talk about little people or the right way to do this or the right way to do that. And that every time that that happened, it was really actually making that group as if it was less than too weak, couldn't take care of itself. Whereas we want to just kind of recognize that there is a healthy balance in everything. that if certain things come through the guise of love, but it's really spoken with hate, we want to read the true energy, listen from our heart, and that with direct and divine timing, that if we learn how to listen from the heart, we'll know the right timing how to speak and the right words with which to speak. And that's the full moon. I think that's really amazing. Let's take this to the quantum level of where this is going to go with the gate 23. So on the 15th, we are going to be in the Leonid constellation.